Suja's presentation really helped out there. So yes. So hi everyone. The topic for today is intellectual property rights in an interconnected world. And while I will actually talk about intellectual property rights in a while, I was also asked to discuss somewhat about my journey from an academician and a researcher to the intellectual property rights field. Okay. So my journey into intellectual property rights itself is a very interesting one. I have always been an academician and a scientist at heart. So since childhood I had this knack of problem solving. I was always a curious learner. So naturally a career in science was the natural way forward. But then what happened, when I was doing my research during my PhD times, I filed a couple of patent applications for my own research work, and that kind of interested me. And soon after completion of my PhD, I chanced upon an advertisement by the Government of India, DST, TIFAC, inviting women scientists to engage into intellectual property rights, and I found it quite intriguing, right? And because here was a chance to combine my love for science and problem solving, my analytical skills with the law perspective, and it was done deal. Honestly speaking, there has been no looking back since then. Fast forward to today, I now help people protect their IP rights, and it truly gratifies the scientist in me. Honestly speaking, as long as innovation and invention exists, the role of IP lawyers will exist. So I think we're ready to go for the this has been already introduced. I have been 17 years now in the field of intellectual property rights. The basic practice focus that I have followed throughout these years is patents, specifically in life sciences and more so in the biotechnological areas. I also deal with the plant variety protection rights in India. I have a PhD in life sciences and a specialization in biochemistry from the CDRA JNU. Sorry about this. And I am an attorney at law, and I've been practicing for so long. I am also registered with the Indian Patent Office. Before I move forward, I will actually give you the base of my organization. I am with KNS Partners. We are quite an old organization now. We are a set of 290 members in total, and these are all the various activities we carry on pan-India. We are heavily driven by our core values. We lovingly call them CLIPS, which is client first, learning organization, integrity, people care, and of course being socially responsible. These are some of the awards and recognitions and some of our plans. Okay, moving on to the topic of today. I'll make it very basic so that each one of us can connect. I'm sure people from diverse backgrounds are here. So let us just talk in terms of physical property that we have. Most of us have the mobile phones in hands right now. We have that. We have other devices that we own. We have property, we have houses, and whatnot. We have our apparel. And we have a right over all this property, right? So if we own a device, we get to choose what happens to that, who will have access to that, who can take it away, or who can carry it with him or her. If I have a physical property like a house, I have the right to choose whom to lend it to or whom to lease it to, right? Or who can enter into my house. I have all that rights, okay? So if anyone uses any of these without my permission, he or she has committed theft, and that is not permissible. Okay. Now moving on to intellectual property. So rules are basically the same. What is intellectual property? So you can imagine you are a writer and you have come up with a brilliant, amazing idea for a new story. Or say you are a business owner and you've come up with a very brilliant new recipe. Or you are an inventor, you have invented a very brilliant product, say for a cure of cancer or any other disease. As long as that idea is within your head, it is just an idea and you don't have any protection whatsoever over it. But as soon as that idea is expressed, it becomes property. It is this intangible property that needs to be protected then. So, we all know McDonald's is already there and we already have their franchisees and their legal options there. We can't really open up a restaurant called McDonald's. Yeah? Or we can't really copy any known person's songs or storylines and just make money out of it. That is just not permissible. Because these are their property. These are their intangible intellectual properties. Here's a very beautiful example. Some of you might have read this book, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. It is about a boy and a tree who kept giving. Right? The tree did not decide to say no at any point of time in the boy's life. And it had a very gruesome end. Sometime back, I think it's during COVID time only, this American playwright Topher Fining, he rewrote this story. He said, no, it is about the tree who set healthy boundaries. And it ended beautifully. But the writer, he did not fail to acknowledge Shel Silverstein there. So he did not really commit a theft, although he rewrote the whole story altogether. So like I said, for physical and intellectual properties, for both the same rules apply. You have to protect it and you need to get protection over it through due diligence. Yeah? So the creators of all sorts of intangible things, whether it be folklore, whether it be some lyrics that you've created or some music that you've created or some story you've written or some product or process that you have invented which can have a commercial utility, you need to have protection over that, and once you have the right protection over that, no one can use it without your permission. Like I said, it's intangible, it's an intangible property. The word intellectual itself shows that it is a creation of the mind, right? So it originates out of the creative efforts of the inventor's mind intellect, and it is this intangible effect that gives him or her the right over such a property. Now this intellectual property rights, it's an exchange. It's an exchange between the government, who is the giver of that right, and the inventor. So while the government promises to protect your invention over a period of time, as an inventor you have to promise that you will give back to the society in two terms. You have to explain what your invention is all about. You have to give it out there so that people can work around that, invent further. And also you have to promise it to commercialize so that it is given to the society actually. And it's not just you just kept your rights in your pocket and you're doing nothing about it. So like I said, it is a business asset, and for sustainable growth of any business, intellectual property rights can play a very important role. But like your property, like your tangible property, the intangible property also has to be valued, it has to be protected and carried forward. So some of the importances of intellectual property rights for businesses I have listed it out there. For mergers, acquisitions, for building your reputation in the market, for further development, further R&D in the market, or just for the researchers out there for learning purposes, and especially for the businesses to monetize. It is a very important tool out there. Now, interestingly, all of you would have used this postage by 3M, right? So it would intrigue you to know that the glue that was used for postage, it was discovered by chance. So it was actually an invention, but it was initially ignored, and later it brought huge dividends to the company 3M. Our very own Tata Nano is covered by at least 37 patents. This simple enzyme, Taq polymerase, has brought huge dividends. As you can see, about 2 million USDs were exchanged in royalties between CETUS and the taker of the patents. Few more examples to show that intellectual property rights are all around us. We just need to see them and we need to value and respect them. So there are various types of intellectual property rights that can be protected, especially in India. From Indian perspectives I'm talking today. So you could get a patent over your product or process, you could get a trademark, you could get a plant variety protection if you have a new plant variety, you could get design, you could get copyright, biological diversity, geographical indications, or semiconductor and IC layout, or you could choose to keep it as a trade secret. Now, the applicable subject matters of each are listed here. So for patents, you have to have an invention which is new and has industrial applicability, and it is non-obvious to a person who is working in the art. So the terminology is a person skilled in the art should not know that invention, or it should not be obvious to that person skilled in the art. For trademarks, you can get for logos or marks that are representative of your goods or services. Copyrights you could get for any literary work, for your art, for music, or for that matter, the presentation that I am giving today or any of the presenters have given, they have copyright over that. Designs are for features that are of the objects that are visible to the eye. I'll explain these in a bit also. And for plant varieties, any new varieties that are distinct, uniform, and stable across generations, you can get a protection over that. Trade secret, like I said, any information that you choose to keep secret, you choose not to divulge. So the very common example for this is Coca-Cola. So the actual recipe of Coca-Cola is still a trade secret. It is still held in lockers somewhere, and only a very few people have actual information over what that secret ingredient is. And again, geographical indications, they are the goods provocative of a particular region. For example, if I say Darjeeling tea or Dharwad Bera, so we have geographical indication tags available for all this. Some of the GI tags of Rajasthan I've listed out there. You would all have seen these, the blue pottery of Jaipur, and even recently the Sojat Mehendi also has got a GI tag from the Government of India. Okay, just to give you an example here is a pill bottle. What all intellectual property rights you can protect out of this, right? So for the pills themselves, which is the drug, the medicine, you can get a patent. You can get a patent over the formula itself, or you can get a patent over the process for making this pill. Or then again, you have the name of the brand, or you have the name of the pill, the pills that you decided, you can get a trade name for it, trademark for it, brand name, you can protect it that way. For the pill bottle itself, you can get a design protection. Or you could get you can actually choose to keep it as a trade secret, like I said. Or then if you have a slogan or a jingle that you formulated for advertisement of this, you could get a copyright over that. So the source of IP generation in R&D institutes are listed here, but again, it's all around us. We are all inventors in our own sphere, right? It's only that what is patentable in India or in a particular jurisdiction that you need to be conscious about. So while we are all innovators and inventors, there are certain things that actually cause loss of intellectual property rights. What are these? So if you have an invention at hand and you just like, Eureka, I have this invention, and you're speaking to everyone about it, right? Or you go ahead and publish it. It is no longer patentable because it is already in the public domain now. So many things that you can do. Or maybe someone has overheard something from your lab and he goes ahead and files a patent for it or publishes it for that matter. Or independently someone can come up with that research and file a patent for it. So your IP loss is there. Okay? So as soon as you think you have a patent at hand or you think you have an intellectual property right to protect, please go ahead and file a registration request for that as soon as possible. Or the research or filing has been delayed. You know you have an invention at hand. Now you intend to file a patent application for it. But what happens is you keeping it in your pocket. I'll file it tomorrow, I'll file it day after tomorrow. And then somebody or the other could have taken it up. Like a very common cartoon here is this lady is carrying that baby in the baby carrier, and the Vikings are known to carry their artillery since ages, right? So he says, I knew I should have patented that. And then again this gentleman says, it's a great invention, but what if it falls into the wrong hands? So yes, it does, many times. Or we may choose to underestimate the invention. It may be a very simple invention, and we think that iska kaun patent dega. But yes, you can get a patent over it. A very own Mr. Cricket you would have seen in your ages. Even there is a patent for this. Or a needle and a nail, there's such a minute difference between that only of a nail head, and you can get a patent over that, right? So it may be very simple, but it may have a great commercial importance, and you don't need to ignore that commercial importance. So don't decide on your own, take help. Body invention is not new. Every year, so much of R&D effort is taken up only to finally analyze and understand that the invention, someone has already done that. So a proper thorough prior art search has not been taken up before filing for an application for that. Or the obviousness issue has been ignored. Very cute example here is, this is a notice displayed at a public bar. It says our public bar is currently not open because it is closed. Signed the manager. Yes, of course it's obvious. So yeah, but in inventions also similar things apply. So for chemists out there, if you have a particular reaction and you just replace that reaction with any known or any acceptable changes, that would be an obvious to a person's skill in the art, and you can't get a patent over that. Or your patent does not have a commercial utility. So with this you can understand that in India there are 3 criteria that you need to focus on to get a patent. Just finishing this off, the commercial utility bit. This gentleman here has stone goggles. He says, I've invented glasses. The trouble is I can't see a thing. So this does not have a commercial utility. He has invented this. It is new, okay? It is probably non-obvious. No one would have thought of inventing a stone goggles. But it has no commercial utility, at least at the time of when he has said this, okay? So 3 things that we need to have in mind. You should have a novel feature with your invention. It should be non-obvious to a person who is skilled in the art, and it should have commercial applicability. It should be actually being able to use in the industry out there. Briefly, I'll touch upon the careers that you can take up as patents. It's not for the audience here, but probably your kids and all. So these are the 2 different aspects you can get on the patent agent side, which is the lawyers, IP lawyers, or you can get on the government side. You could become a patent examiner and the controllers. And there are career opportunities that are available for the people who are working in this field. Yeah, that's